My name is Tanis, and I'm going to be giving my presentation by recording myself because for the life of me I could not figure out Zoom, so let me just get started. So today I'm going to be talking about intersectionality in queer psychology, and more specifically how race and sexuality shape people's lived experiences. This topic looks at how different identities come together and influence the way people are treated and how they experience the world. So, while discrimination against LGBTQ plus individuals exists, not everyone experiences it in the same way. People of color in the LGBTQ community often face an additional layer of challenges, including racism, homophobia, transphobia, and sometimes even cultural or religious pressures. So instead of just one type of discrimination, they often are dealing with multiple forms at the same time, which can make their experiences a lot more complex. What is intersectionality? So intersectionality is the idea that aspects of a person's identity, like race, gender, and sexuality, are connected and they overlap. These overlapping identities don't exist separately. Instead, they interact with each other and shape shapes experiences in unique ways. For example, being LGBTQ plus comes with its own challenges, but being both LGBTQ plus and a person of color creates an additional barrier that someone who is white and LGBTQ might not experience. Why does it matter? This topic matters because it's often overlooked and misunderstood. A lot of conversations about LGBTQ plus issues focus mainly on sexuality and gender, but don't fully consider how race and culture influence people's lives. It also connects a larger issue like inequality and social justice because it shows how different systems of discrimination can all work together and impact people's opportunities and well-being. There is multiple forms of discrimination when it comes to intersectionality in the queer community. LGBTQ plus people of color experience discrimination in multiple spaces. Like, for example, they may experience racism within the LGBTQ community, which is often dominated by white perspectives. At the same time, they face homophobia and transphobia within their own culture or family environments. This can create a situation where someone doesn't feel fully accepted in either space, which can feel pretty isolating. There's also clear economic differences. Research shows that 40% of LGBTQ people of color live in low-income households compared to 36% of white LGBTQ individuals. So that really shows how intersectionality doesn't just affect social experiences, it also impacts financial stability and access to certain resources. Well, in addition to that, economic stress can add another form of stress, making overall experience even more difficult. Mental health impact. All of these experiences can contribute to something called minority stress, which is stress caused by discrimination and stigma. Minority stress can build up over time and lead to higher levels of anxiety and depression and emotional stress. This chart that is shown right here shows how LGBTQ plus individuals, especially those from different racial and ethnic backgrounds, often face barriers accessing mental health care. So not only are they experiencing more stress, but they can have fewer resources to deal with it. Substance use is also another form, another impact. This chart shows that sexual minorities, meaning LGBTQ plus individuals, have higher rates of substance use already to heterosexual individuals. Substances like alcohol or drugs are sometimes a way to cope with like stress, discrimination, and the feelings of being isolated. For LGBTQ plus people of color, that this is a risk that can be even higher because they're dealing with both racial discrimination and LGBTQ plus stigma at the same time. A key study in my research was that one study looked over 3,000 LGBTQ plus youth of color in the United States and found that intersectional stress, which means the combination of racism and discrimination in the LGBTQ plus community, was strongly linked to higher levels of depression. The study also found that lower self-esteem and lower sense of control over life has helped explain this connection. This shows like overlapping stressors don't affect experiences, they have a real measurable impact on mental health. Real life impact. So in real life, this can look like feeling excluded or misunderstood in different environments. Someone might feel like they don't fully belong in the LGBTQ plus spaces while feeling the pressure or lack of acceptance in their culture or family and communities can add an additional layer to that. This can make it difficult to feel supported or understood and can affect a person's overall sense of identity. And to conclude, understanding intersectionality helps us understand that the identities don't exist separately and they overlap and shape a person's personal experience in important ways. These overlapping identities can impact mental health, economic opportunities, and access to support. So by understanding intersectionality, we can work towards creating a lot more inclusive spaces and better support system for LGBTQ plus people of color. And that concludes my presentation.